presentation. So welcome. My name is Dr. Jessie Upshaw. Thank you so much for joining us at the UAGC Teaching and Learning Conference, or TLC, where over the next 3 days, we'll examine the culture of care, empathy, advocacy, and non-traditional student success. We are happy that you chose to join us at the UAGC Department of Education and Liberal Arts proudly presents to you Ed Talks. Welcome everyone to our 4th annual Ed Talks at TLC session with student presenters. This is the power of one, a student perspective. Whether this is your first or 50th Ed Talk, in my opinion, you are in for a session of inspiration, collaboration. And speaking of that collaboration, I wanted to say I am honored to be joined today by 2 faculty and members of the Professional Development Committee in the Department of Education and Liberal Arts from the University of Arizona Global Campus that you see pictured here. We will be your hosts for this very special Ed Talk. Before we introduce you to the real stars of today's show, let me set the stage. This year, our 8-session Ed Talk series was inspired by the work of Dr. Donna Beagle of Communications Across Barriers. Each session in the series focused on providing a foundation in the online higher education environment to develop and foster the power of meeting students where they are in their classrooms through course design, instruction, and interactions with students to support skills that can transcend the online higher education classroom and stay with them after they have met their goals. For those of you that are new to Ed Talks, this is not your traditional professional development webinar or conference presentation. Established in 2015, Ed Talks are fashioned after TED Talks, the ever-popular way of sharing concepts through personal storytelling using a short monologue format. We do this because we want to inspire and hear your stories, and we can best do that by sharing our stories. Our goal here is not to teach you anything new, as you are already an expert in your role. Our goal is to perhaps motivate you to try something new in your approach to student success, whether you are a faculty member, student support team member, administrator, or a student yourself. At the end of our collaborative Ed Talk today, we look forward to hearing your story of what you are doing or what you will do in your classroom or learning environment. Toward the end of our time, we will open up the floor for Q&A and sharing out. Let's get started. Jackie, would you please introduce our special guest Ed Talker to give us a foundation for today's talk?
Certainly, it's my pleasure. Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce our good friend, our Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences here at the University of Arizona Global Campus. Dr. Farrell holds graduate degrees in education from National University and the University of Oklahoma, along with a PhD in special education from the University of Hawaii. His professional experiences cover the gamut of education, having been an elementary and high school special education teacher and a school administrator at both the elementary and middle school level. His favorite aspect of teaching is seeing students understand and apply what they are learning. That light bulb moment with students. He especially enjoys the University of Arizona Global Campus students who can relate to them as learners on a unique journey. His journey is a story that we invite you now to join us in as you get to know him better and his why for being the educational leader that he is today. Tony, the microphone is yours.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Jesse. It's such an honor to be here. And I was asked by Jackie and Jesse to kind of reframe and share a previous presentation related to my journey as an educator. And, when you put something like this together, it really helps reframe how you look at education, how you look at your impact on students, and certainly the culture of care, and just really the power of how a single educator can have on a student's life, and certainly on my life as an educator, as a parent. I have had people who have really cared about me, expressed that support and desire within the classroom, and really had a tremendous impact on my life. So hopefully you'll enjoy this presentation and look forward to questions and comments at the end. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so with the Jesse, I'm looking, we're good. All right. All right, so those of you that know me know that I love baseball. So during my life, there have been few things as important to me and my family as baseball. Baseball is what brings my family together. I played through college. I was a high school and travel ball coach. All of my sons play. So my wife, who was very indifferent towards baseball when we met, and I mean very indifferent, is now a big fan. The Farrell family and baseball are almost synonymous, one and the same. As a boy, I was consumed with the game. I knew every player on my favorite teams, the Cincinnati Reds and the San Diego Padres. I loved baseball so much that my mom handmade a Johnny Bench costume for Halloween when I was 8. She sewed it together and painted the costume so that I looked exactly like Johnny Bench. I was entirely consumed by the game of baseball. I would play after school, on weekends, during the summer, whenever I could. As a kid, you always pretend that it's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, the base is loaded, and your team is down by 3 runs. You see the pitch, you swing. It's a grand slam. You win the game, you win the World Series. As you can see by this picture, there is no crying in baseball. Actually, this could not be further from the truth. There's lots of crying in baseball. Some of my best cries have been on the baseball field. When I was 5 years old, my dad taking me to my first baseball game. When I was 11, thinking I was going to make the All-Star team, and I didn't. That wasn't such a good cry. The time my junior year on my high school team won our first league championship in 20 years. Coaching my daughter's t-ball team, realizing how lucky I am to spend time with my kids. Coaching another son's t-ball team amid I would say, a fairly significant health scare, and thinking that I may not be able to coach again. That was an emotional day. Coaching another son as they got to the Bronco International World Series. The list goes on and on. I have definitely cried on the baseball field. For me, the greatest aspect of the game of baseball is that players come in all shapes and sizes. These are 2 great Major League Baseball players. One of them has won an MVP award and led the American League in hitting several times. Can you guess which one? So Jose Altuve, who has won several batting titles and been to many World Series, All-Star games and World Series. Jose is only 5'6". I think that's probably fairly generous. He had to talk his way onto the baseball field as people thought he was too small. One scout for the Astros recognized his talent, a talent magnet, and signed Jose to a free agent contract. All it takes is for someone to recognize that you have ability, that you have a specific talent, give you a chance, provide support, care about you, and watch that talent certainly emerge and thrive. Personally, I'm not the biggest guy. In fact, I'm pretty short. However, I had coaches along the way who believed in me and looked past my height. They were talent magnets who saw that I could play and look past my size. So when I was a young kid, I was small, overweight, had severe asthma. I wasn't what you would consider a stellar athlete. However, I love baseball. So all my friends played. We had a great time. I don't really remember how much success I had as a 9-year or 10-year-old, but I do remember the coaches and adults who coached and mentored me, who exhibited what we call a culture of care. These individuals recognized some talent that maybe I couldn't see, even if that talent hadn't emerged yet. So as you can see, I don't know if you could pick me out in these pictures. I was not the next coming of Johnny Bench, but I loved the game. As I continued to play, I had some success and some failures. When I was 12, I played an entire season, and we're talking 20-something games, and only had 3 hits in the whole season. I was sad, frustrated, and really thought about quitting. However, Coach Jim Adesso kept encouraging me and made me believe that I would get better. He was someone who exhibited a culture of care on the baseball field and recognized that I would and could improve. The next year, I lost a bunch of weight and got better. I ended up leading the league in home runs and made the All-Star team. So at 13 years old, I made my first All-Star game. And if any of you are parents of baseball players, you know that's pretty late to make your first All-Star game. But as a kid, this was monumental. This was life-changing as far as confidence goes. I believe that if I had a different coach, if Jim Medesso wasn't there, I may have stopped playing. I often equate these types of experiences to our students in the classroom. As an open enrollment institution, we have students with a variety of skills and abilities. They have a burning desire to gain and earn their college degree. They may struggle. They may need an understanding and encouraging faculty member to help them through tough times. They may need to rely on a culture of care, a caring faculty member to help them. Many of them need a coach or a mentor within the classroom that sees their potential. So like baseball players, students grow and develop with practice and encouragement. Faculty have the power to be the difference maker for our students. So like many who love baseball, my first real memory of being introduced to the game was with my dad. When I was around 7, my dad left my mom, brother, and I. Not a word, not a goodbye, not a see you soon. So as a young boy, I didn't understand. Life changed instantly for our family. We went from a home in a nice community to living with friends and making multiple moves during that first year after my dad left. My mom didn't have a college degree or a job when this all happened. My mom took on the task of raising 2 boys on her own. She worked multiple low-paying jobs so that we could have a stable place to live. We lived in the same 1-bedroom apartment from the time I was in 3rd grade till the time I graduated from high school. My memories of that apartment were of my mom completely sacrificing for my brother and I. My brother and I shared that single bedroom for 11 years while she slept on the couch. She slept on the couch for 11 years. She had no privacy or a quiet place to live or to go, excuse me. My brother and I were not the best behaved kids during that time. Our apartment was filled with roaches and we had to bag all of our food. We had no car and we took the bus to go everywhere. So we relied on the government just to help us make the rent. My mom worked extremely hard, but rarely attended any of my games growing up. However, the one thing that she always made sure of was to tell me that I had the potential to do great things in life. This is one of the few pictures that I have of my mom with a smile on her face. In my time here at UAGC, my why or my purpose is always centered on my mom. I've always thought of how much a university like UAGC would benefit her. I grew to appreciate over time how smart and capable my mom was. My mom was a high school valedictorian. She was intelligent and capable, but life just got in the way of her going to college. She tried to go back to school several times, but without transportation and kids who had health issues, she was always forced to quit. That's why I value our university and our mission of accessibility. I look through the lens of my mom's eyes. What if she were able to attend University of Arizona Global Campus from home? It might have changed the trajectory of her life and our family. She wouldn't have needed to walk a mile to catch a bus to go to San Diego City College. She might not have been so tired from her day to try to focus on going to school. She would have benefited and thrived in an institution like UAGC. I would not change a thing about my life now. However, growing up where I did was certainly not the easiest. So when we think of San Diego, we think of beaches. We think of sun, as San Diego is often called America's finest city. So we think it never rains in Southern California. My reality was a little different. I went to San Diego High School in the mid-1980s. I love San Diego High as it's one of the oldest high schools in California. I am a proud graduate. I am a caver. However, my school had issues with gangs, drugs, truancy, and high dropout rates. When I went to San Diego High School, I did not have much hope or a plan for anything beyond the day. I was not a good student. In fact, I probably spent more time trying to get out of class than actually going to class. I was a C student who lacked motivation, but I love baseball. So as I got older, I got better. And by the time I was a sophomore, I made varsity. We were terrible. We weren't very good. We weren't getting any better. And my teammates sometimes went to practice or just decided not to show up at all. So we had issues with eligibility and commitment. So that all changed my junior year. So we had the same team, same group of players, or same school. The one change was Coach Tom Lopez was hired as a coach and math teacher at San Diego High School. So I've never been in any situation where one person completely changed the climate and culture of a team or organization like Tom Lopez. He set expectations. He held people accountable. We were on time. We ran everyone on the baseball field. We didn't use profanity, all very different than the previous year. And more importantly, he cared about us as kids and students. We were told that players play, coaches coach, umpires umpire, pick one. He wanted us to focus on playing and what we can control. We lost our first game that year and a few more along the way. We lost our first league game that year. We lost to our rival, Hoover High School, by 20 runs the first time we played them. And again, you don't know much about San Diego or California baseball history, but Hoover and San Diego are two of the oldest schools in California and have this intense rivalry over years and years. However, we kept improving. By the end of the year, we had to beat Hoover for the league championship. We did. We won our first league championship at San Diego High School in over 20 years. And considering San Diego High has such a rich baseball tradition, it was a moment in time that I will never forget. And I still remember, even today, that feeling of winning that championship. So this was not the most important thing that happened to me that year. One day I was early for practice and helping Coach Lopez with the field. So as a young man who didn't have a father, I really looked up to Coach Lopez. As we were talking, he tells me that I'm good enough to play college baseball. He didn't have to say that. I still remember that feeling of having someone believe in me who I admired. It changed me forever. Here I was, a kid who lived in a one-bedroom apartment, who didn't have too many people who thought too much of me or my future. I certainly didn't have the grades that would inspire a lot of hope. A coach, a teacher who I greatly admired, told me that I'm good enough. I have a future. I have hope. So it would be great to say that instantaneously I became a straight A student who didn't get into any trouble, but that would not be accurate. The impact of someone recognizing the talent of someone and nurturing that talent is so powerful. Liz Wiseman says that this is a finding genius or being a talent magnet moment. So what really changed for me? Was I a stellar student? No. Did I go to class all the time? Definitely no. What did change is my outlook and goals. During the next year and a half, our baseball program became one of the best in San Diego. I was going to get an opportunity to play college baseball. And more importantly, because someone cared in a few well-timed words, I was going to go to college. The impact of fostering a culture of care cannot be qualified or measured simply by what happens today or tomorrow. When I went to college, I didn't have the best college baseball experience. I went to several different schools and it took me some time to graduate. I did have some great moments on the baseball field after graduating high school. I played on a summer team that won a national championship. I had some good games in college, but I came home after my third year. Like many of our students, I had financial issues and had to come home. Life got in the way, but I still had the burning desire to finish my degree and be an educator. I had hope. What did I realize during that time? I wanted to have the same impact on others that Coach Lopez had on me. I wanted to be an educator and be a high school baseball coach. I went back and coached at San Diego High with Coach Lopez. I learned so much and found my calling. I was going to be a teacher and coach. The impact that Coach Lopez had on me inspired me to try to have the same impact on others. There was another important person who really would help shape my future during my time playing baseball at San Diego High, and that's Coach Mike Riley. And if you look in this picture in the upper left, that's Coach Riley. He offered encouragement and support, and later would be a talent magnet or somebody who cared about me and my future, that his actions would eventually change the trajectory of my life. So during the time that I was finishing my degree and continuing my path to coach high school baseball, I met my future wife and had a tough decision to make. She was going to be a nurse in the Army and would be leaving San Diego. So I decided to change course and support my wife's career. We left San Diego, and I would not be a high school baseball coach in the near future. However, I was still moving forward as an educator. I taught for several years and focused on special education as an area that I really felt that I could make a difference. So while my wife was on active duty, we moved several times. So during her last duty station, I enrolled in a special education doctoral program at University of Hawaii. So as we transitioned out of the Army, we moved to Colorado, where I became a high school special education teacher and eventually a school administrator. So while in Colorado, I interacted with three leaders, three professionals that really exhibited a culture of care for me. And they recognized some talent that I had and supported my growth as an educator and an educational professional. So Karen Tarbell may be the most talented school administrator that I have met or ever worked with. She hired me to help open a brand new middle school in the middle of the economic downturn in the early 2000s. There were many talented individuals who applied for this position. She hired me and showed me what it's like to lead with integrity and purpose. She said something to me that resonates with me today. And I truly mean this when I say this. She always made decisions with the perspective of what is best for students. I try to use that same perspective for every decision that I make today as a leader here at UAGC. So I mentioned Coach Riley earlier. He still coached me. However, when I reconnected with him years later, he was, Dr. Mike Riley, the executive dean for the School of Business at Ashford University. So now University of Arizona Global Campus. He knew that I had completed my PhD in special education and UAGC might be a good fit for me. At the time, I was a school administrator, very ambitious, looking to grow, and I decided to apply for a full-time faculty position here at UAGC. This was a drastic move considering I had 3 kids and my wife was pregnant with our youngest son. Today, Doc Mike has retired. He was a full-time faculty member here at UAGC in the Forbes School of Business and Technology. And he is someone who helped me grow as a kid, as an adolescent, and supported my pursuit of the best job I have ever had. He truly personified a culture of care. So Dr. Andy Sheen is another leader who saw something in me and helped provide me with a life-changing opportunity. He was a leader that hired me as a full-time faculty member here at UAGC. He also promoted me to associate dean and then recommended me for the executive dean position within the College of Education. And I am forever grateful for the opportunity that he gave me and the example of connecting with people and caring about people who work for you. These talent magnets, these individuals who exhibited a culture of care, saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself. They were role models and affirmed that I have a responsibility to develop other leaders and help provide the same opportunity for others that I was afforded. More importantly, I've been given an opportunity to impact thousands of students through my role here at University of Arizona Global Campus. I just want all of you to know that I have the greatest job in the world. I get up every day feeling how thankful I am to work here at UAGC. So as the Dean for the College of Arts and Sciences, I believe that I have been a successful developer of talents as well. The number of fantastic educators that I've been so fortunate to hire has been the greatest achievement of my professional career. I work with so many great leaders. I had the opportunity to be part of the hiring committee and support Dr. Denise Maxwell, who is now the academic department chair for the Department of Education and Liberal Arts. Had the great opportunity to work with our senior vice provost, Dr. Iris Lafferty, and worked very closely with her within the College of Education. And these leaders all exhibited a deep caring for our students, and they care deeply today about our students and do everything they can to help our students graduate. So the impact of these faculty on students can be similar to the impact that Coach Lopez had on me. So as Dr. Donna Beagle, the founder of the Poverty Institute, shared with me in a conference several years ago, and for our educators, I really want you to pause and listen to this comment. Educators wear a sacred suit. The words they say matter. As the years have progressed during my career, I take these words seriously, and I work with a group of faculty and leaders that share that same perspective. So I pose to you, how are you impacting your students? Is it the same way that Coach Lopez impacted me? Is it the same way that he impacted others in the classroom? You don't know how you impact your students, but I believe that we all become educators to make a positive difference in the lives of our students. So as we consider the power of supporting our students within the classroom, we don't know what the impact is that we have on our students, their lives, and the lives of their families. The power of education to change lives for the better is indisputable. In my life, there have been several mentors and educators who saw something in me and encouraged me to move forward with my life and career. I'm sure that Coach Lopez did not think that our conversation more than 30 years ago would have a dramatic impact on me and my family. So as the years have gone by, baseball still continues to be one of the most important things to me. I love baseball. I love to coach. Life has a way of changing our plans, and it certainly did for me. I haven't coached high school baseball since I got married, but I have coached a lot over the years. So these are my three sons several years ago. We'd spend hours on the baseball field working on skills that would make them better. More importantly, I was trying to encourage them to love the game and to find a connection with each other. So two of my favorite coaches, Coach Lopez and Coach Riley, both went out of their way to encourage me in different ways. Sometimes I think, what if I didn't have that conversation with Coach Lopez? Would I still have been an educator? Would I had the same desire? Would I had the same hope? Would I have eventually completed my doctorate and found this great career in education? What if Coach Riley hadn't connected with me all those years ago? Would I still be here at UAGC? Would I have the greatest job in the world? It didn't cost these educators anything to encourage me and help push me forward. What would it cost you to reach out to a student to have a kind and encouraging word? You never know, but that one act could change someone's life forever. So one of the great accomplishments of my life has been the completion of my doctoral degree from the University of Hawaii. And I think you can tell that by my shoes. As much as I was able to complete the ultimate academic journey and start a path for a new and exciting career, the greatest joy I had was having my children in attendance and seeing their dad achieve this goal. I knew in that moment that this could have a great impact on their lives, just as the completion of a degree by our students can change the course of their families. I also knew that none of this would be possible without those who cared about me beyond what they were required to do. So my mom, teachers, Coach Lopez, Coach Riley, many others exhibited a culture of care that influenced my path and gave me the hope and confidence that I could complete my degree. So as a prologue to my story today, I want to impress upon each of us the power and responsibility of what being an educator can mean in the lives of our students. Having a disposition of caring and support, a culture of care, can have a significant impact on our students. So I shared a picture of my sons taken a few years ago that showed them on the baseball field together. Over the last 2 years, they have continued their journey. So my son, Zach, is a plebe or a freshman playing baseball at Army West Point. My son, Max, just committed to San Diego State University to play baseball. He is only a sophomore in high school, but he has a bright future ahead of him. So one of these pictures is after a high school game last year. I was privileged to see my two oldest sons on the field together, a proud dad moment. I haven't talked too much about my daughter, Anissa. She's not a baseball player, but Anissa is a cheer captain at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and she is a great student athlete as well. My youngest son, Benji, continues to play and enjoy the game. I know that none of this would be possible without my high school baseball coach, Tom Lopez, saying that he believed that I could be a college baseball player. A few kind words or going the extra mile for our students can have a ripple effect that may not, or that we may not know even now or in the future. We have the ability as educators to change the lives of our students for the better. And we support our students on their journey to completing a degree. So I want to say this. Thank you, Coach Lopez. The Farrell family appreciates the impact that you have had on us. As a family, we definitely love baseball. That's it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farrell. Your story truly had an impact on me, specifically relating to understanding what our students might be experiencing while in our courses at UAGC. They might be doing everything they can do just to survive and care for two children. Our students might not even have a space of their own to sleep, let alone a space to do coursework. Their life might even change overnight, even without a warning. Knowing these things about our students can really help our instructors understand how to support and encourage them so that they can show their talent and be successful in our courses while also navigating through what their individual lives might throw at them every day. And I believe this truly is what Culture of Care is all about. So thank you again, Dr. Farrell. Now for our stars of the show, our student presenters. Allow me to introduce Karen Cumby and Brianna Martinez. These students represent members of the UAGC CHAMPS peer mentoring community. CHAMPS stands for Collaborative and Holistic Academic Mentoring for Peer Success. Our CHAMPS peer mentoring program matches new students adjusting to the demands of pursuing a college degree with high achieving upper division students or mentors to create a space for peer-to-peer mentorship that promotes student development and success. The mission of the CHAMPS Peer Mentoring Program is to provide opportunities for students at the University of Arizona Global Campus to have access to the knowledge and experience of successful peer mentors to promote student success. So prior to today's conference, each of these presenters was given a series of questions to consider to spark their individual story, all relating to the common theme of the impact and the power of one person or one act or empower others. Students, the microphone is yours.
Hi, my name is Brie Martinez and I live in Colorado and I'm 25 years old. May of 2022, I graduated from UAGC where I double majored in political science and sociology. I currently work in human resources for a local nonprofit early childhood center where I have worked for 5 years now. I was originally hired as a teacher's assistant and I worked my way up to a teacher and to where I slowly got to my current role of recruitment and payroll coordinator. In my free time, I study for my LSAT, which I plan to take in January. So originally, I went to a local community college straight out of high school where I quickly learned that the traditional college experience did not work for me. At the time, my mom was attending what was at the time Ashford University, and I saw how she was able to balance a school, a business, and a family. At that time, I was already working full-time as a preschool teacher, so flexibility was a must. Although I was super, super happy as a preschool teacher, my father was wrongfully convicted of a crime, which lit my fire to go back to school to help those who are wronged by the American justice system. I needed a school that would allow flexibility, and UAGC was just that. So the biggest barrier that I faced while attending UAGC was the accusation, trial, and sentencing of my dad's wrongful conviction. Not only did I spend countless hours trying to help my dad, sitting through his trials, trying to reach out to community members to try to see who can help him on our limited funds, but the emotional toll it had on me as well. It affected my ability to focus. It affected my ability to stand strong and do schoolwork. I often found myself doing side jobs, trying to earn money to make up for the shortcomings that my mom faced financially, which also took time from my schoolwork. I often found myself too lost within myself to think of anything but the loss of my dad. Meeting deadlines felt impossible with the pain and emptiness that I felt inside.
I would like to tell you why I love UAGC. Returning to school after so many years was scary. It was like really, really frightening. It made me think back to when I started with my current employer, UPS. I went into that company and I was a little bit on the heavy side, and they told me I was going to unload trailers. I'm like, unload trailers? Are you serious? I can't do this. And finally, after doing it again and again, I realized if I just keep trying, I could get through it. And that's how it was with UAGC. But what made the process even stronger and better for me was the advisors and the staff that's so encouraging, that told me you can do it. The barriers are there, but you can overcome them. I had family members to pass away, sadly, from COVID during my early time of starting classes. Trying to find the transition and using my time wisely, time management tips from the advisors, and all the other tips that I could get a hold to. But losing family members made it really hard. But those advisors, when I called in and said, I think I just need to quit, I need to stop, I can't take anymore, they gave me options. And it blew my mind because it felt as though I was not alone. And that's the thing that I want to really express my gratitude for when I'm thinking about UAGC.
I remember there was this time in my final course, I was writing a paper about the struggles wrongfully convicted individuals face in the American justice system. And I struggled to finish that paper. It was a paper that I was very emotionally connected to. So I ended up having to reach out to my professor, and she worked hand in hand with me, aiding me to not be biased in my paper and granted me an extension so I can do my absolute best. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
It's a different type of school. If you would have asked me a few years ago to go to an online college, I would have laughed at you because it would not have been in my vision. But coming to UAGC has been a blessing for me. It's been awesome. The courses are great, and the instructors are very informative. They're hands-on. They make learning really wonderful. And they also give you tips throughout the courses. Those 5 weeks go by so fast because you're not only learning, but you're having fun. So what I would say to any students coming into UAGC, give it a chance. Come in with an open mind and don't give up. I want to thank the UAGC staff and faculty. The reason being, like I said, losing family members and even sometimes not using my time as wisely and having some challenges in those classes. I've called in frantic, but I got the right person on the other line. And I think we were really peace for each other. I want to thank them for dealing with all the students who call in, who may have like the fear of succeeding or the fear of overcoming the challenges that they have in their own life. And it may come off as anger. I want to encourage all of the staff at UAGC because you are amazing. You guys have spoke life into my career as a student, and I appreciate you.
UAGC offers many things to help with student success. I definitely tried them all. I had no other option to be successful in my pursuit of my degree. Champs was my favorite resource. Being an online student, you often lack the communication from fellow students. And the Champs program actually matches you with fellow members with similarities to you. I joined early in my educational journey and as a mentee, and I slowly worked up to becoming a mentor, which I still do to this day. I fell in love with all of the support, the tricks, and communications Champs offers. Seeing others along their journey gave me the boost to finish mine. Champs definitely helped me feel connected and like I was not on that journey alone.
I know that I went into a restaurant one day and I was speaking to a young man because his attitude was so disturbing to me. And he was on one section in the restaurant. I ordered a combo and his part was to give me the drink. I wanted the drink with no ice. Well, he gave me the drink and it had ice. And then he had a little bit of an attitude about, just take the drink, lady, almost. And I looked at him. I didn't get angry, but I said this: do you not realize that you are a part of what makes the combo complete? And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that we can be that part that makes a combo complete for someone. I want to make sure that my time at UAGC is so great for me and also great for the people that I come in contact with. I know that it's a challenge coming back to school. For many of us, you have children, spouses, parents, and sometimes you're losing people because you're older and it's just the circle of life. But I want to encourage you. Don't give up. UAGC is the place to be. If you need just a little encouragement or just a little time to figure it all out, I promise there's someone here that will help you do that. I'm Karen, a God thing come be, and I just wanted to share my story with you.
Thank you, student panelists Karen and Brianna. And thank you, Dr. Farrell, for your very personal and inspiring stories. This certainly gives us pause to consider the value of teaching through that lens of a culture of care for our learners. Our learners are real people with real educational goals. Our learners are real people with real life obligations and commitments to work and family. Our learners are good people who need us to be our best selves in caring and helping them succeed as faculty members. For nearly a decade, I have been on Dr. Farrell's team of educators. It's exciting to see how far we have come as a caring university and how far we will go with students at the center. As UAGC educators, our why is our students. Here in the Department of Education and Liberal Arts, we started our 2022 Ed Talks with that culture of care focus. It started with the topic of empathy and action by Dr. Allison Reif, and it ended today with Dr. Farrell and our student stories. And in between, Dr. Ashante Aller shared on barriers of academic language into teachable moments and student empowerment. Dr. Teresa Handy explored the power of sharing connection in supporting our students. Dr. Jessie Upshaw examined the role of educator as coach in the classroom. Dr. Truby Miller shared how communication through a classroom culture of caring can help students succeed. Dr. Newton Miller on creating equitable opportunities through his coffee can story. And Dr. Lauren Gonzalez brought us through how one small act can be life-sustaining. And lastly, Dr. Julie Atkins explored the power of smiling in an online classroom. All of these presentations have been recorded and are available for you at any time. We would now like to invite you into the conversation with the questions you see here on the screen. Our interactive discussion, it will be led by Dr. Ellen Beatty and Debbie Carpenter and your TLC Ed Talk team. Thank you.
Feel free to raise your hand and come on camera or on the microphone if you'd like to respond, how you're already supporting a culture of care in your classroom, what you're doing next, and we'll watch the chat as well on the Zoom app and the Whova app.
Jessie, it's Debbie. If I couldn't just come on and make a comment, I'm sure that you could tell on my face the emotions that were just kind of coming across as I listened to our student presenters. And I'm just so inspired by the energy that they bring to persisting and achieving their goals, and that they are just making the most of all of the resources that are available to them. And it is so important, just as Tony has referred to, you just never know who is going to deliver a message to you that changes the trajectory of your life. And I would just like to thank our two student presenters for the comments that they shared, because you never know who is watching either today live or on a recorded session later, who is struggling, who is unsure if they want to continue in their path. To hear these inspiring young women, I think could make all the difference. So just want to thank them. And as far as my role as a faculty, finding that connection with students beyond the classroom, beyond even the academic relationship, is so important to me. And if I can connect with students on a motherhood level, mother to mother, just student to student, because I too am in a program that I wouldn't be in without the prompting words of a just beloved mentor in my life. That finding those ways to connect for fun, with humor, with smiling, are also important to get our students to understand they're in a safe and nurturing place. So just thought I would kick off with those thoughts.
And I want to thank the 109 people who are joining us viewing from the app. So thank you so much for choosing this presentation and listening to these amazing student and faculty stories. I just want to point out that Julie's mentioning in the chat box that one thing that she shared in her Ed Talk last month was to support a culture of care, was providing one-on-one Zoom sessions with students each week. They truly appreciate the opportunity to meet live and connect with their instructor. That's great, Julie. Thank you for sharing. I think often what we're reminded of is that we can put aside some of our old notions of what online learning is. It doesn't have to be asynchronous. It doesn't have to have transactional distance between an instructor and a student. We can put those aside and we can look at new innovative ways to create a culture of caring. And if you are listening on the app, please feel free to jump in with questions or comments.
I'm curious to know what might be a next step for anyone in our audience. Sometimes, the most transformative changes start with one small thing, one small tweak you make to your daily practice, a small thing you add to your process. So I'm just kind of curious to know, no matter how small, what might be that one next step you take as a result of today's presentation?
Well, people put those in the chat, Debbie. I'll share one of mine, and it's an inspiration from this entire series of Ed Talks and from Tony's Ed Talk and our students today. It really is that you just never know what one little thing can do and what one little flexible extension for time management can do for someone who may be going through something that they can't even express how much it's impacting them at the moment. 5-6 weeks is a short time for a course, and it takes a while to recover from some things. So just giving that extra time, and that's something I've already done, but that perspective of going into every email, every comment on the discussion board, every announcement I post, and every response to a comment on my announcements, with the understanding that what I say might have a trajectory to completely change their day-to-day and then their future, and that giving them the opportunity to just fulfill that potential that's there by being given the opportunity. So for me, it's that mindset of don't forget, don't remember it every single day. So that's my takeaway.
I think one of the things that we've tried to do over the last year or so is to give faculty more permission to have agency and in how they support students. I think those of us that have significant tenure with the institution, when we started several years ago, as Jackie mentioned, it's been almost a decade that I've gotten to work with Jackie, is that there was a feeling that we were constrained in some cases is whether or not to give incompletes or to allow students extra time. And so there's been some adjustments made to late policies, to even the Canvas classroom, to allow faculty to be able to work with students and not feel like that it's going to negatively impact them when they're dealing with the curriculum coaches and those who are supporting them within the classroom, whether looking at whether or not you're responding on time or turning in grades on time. And so some of those mechanisms have changed over time. And then the other piece too that I certainly want to emphasize is that, and you'll probably hear this throughout, this will be a thread throughout the next 3 days, is providing care for students and compassion and flexibility doesn't mean that we're lowering the standards and that you continue to have high standards for students. It just means that some students need a little extra help. Maybe they need a little extra time. Maybe a little extra encouragement. Maybe they need to take that feedback on an assignment that they were either confused by or didn't do real well, and revise that assignment and resubmit. Those are all things that can help our students. But I would say, I think a lot of us who become educators, there's those moments that in your life that kind of influence you in your path. And for me, it was the people in my journey. I didn't have a car till I was 21 years old. I didn't even have a driver's license until then. And so thinking about, how life has changed for me and for my kid, like Max, my son will be 16 this week on Friday, actually. And, he wants to know when his driving test is. And for me, that would not have even been a thought in my mind at the same point in time. And so it really emphasizes to me the power that education has on how we can change the lives of our students. And certainly education has changed my life, for sure.
Kelly made a point in the chat about having the opportunity and the ability to check back in with students after they've left our classroom. And I couldn't agree more that it's such a fantastic idea, and one that I've tried to communicate with students in that once you are in my class, I'm your advocate forever. This is not a relationship that is 5 weeks long and then it has a start and it has a finish. Once I am in your corner, I'm always in your corner. You can reach out. You can let me know how you're doing. You can request a letter of recommendation. You can tell me about that next job in your journey. And it really takes students by surprise sometimes to know that, oh my goodness, it would be okay. It would be okay for me to reach out. And I know that I speak for many who have, heard back from students long after they've left. And I think that finding those ways to interweave our contact information, having access to their contact information, is an opportunity for us to extend this culture of care into more of a long-term relationship. Great comment, Kelly.
Another great comment in the chat box from Kimberly, talking about how we never know where the ripples of the culture of care will stop. She notes that she offered flexibility to a student who then allowed that student to take care of her father who was having some major health issues. So helping the student allowed the student to help others, which is a beautiful sentiment.
For me, as we try to embrace the idea of a culture of care, it may not appeal to everyone. It may seem that we might be doing too much. I would argue, if you catch yourself feeling that way, consider a small step into the culture of care. And that's simply moving your language speak from past tense to present tense. It shouldn't be that you should have gone to the writing center. It should be, hey, let me talk to you about the writing center. Try that. See what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Dr. Fink makes a few comments in here. I wanted to pull out one that really spoke to some of the things our student presenters were alluding to, of picking up on the students' responses in the discussion board, whether it's their curiosity or their frustration. All of these things can be a cue to engage. And for students in the audience today, the same thing with your instructors. All opportunities are your opportunity to engage and make that connection and continue to support one another. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, as we know, all good things must come to an end. We really appreciate everyone coming today. But before I let you go off to your next TLC session, please do watch the screen or your chat box for a link to a place to receive your certificate of attendance today. We will make sure that that's shared out with the TLC comments as well for the presentation. And we want to, of course, before we go, on the behalf of the UAGC Department of Education and Liberal Arts, we really, really give our sincerest thank you to our presenters today, Karen Cumby, Brianna Martinez, and our Dean, Dr. Tony Farrell, and the members of the Ed Talks TLC team. Huge thank you for all that you've done to bring these presenters to life today. On behalf of our department chair, Dr. Denise Maxwell, thank you for attending today as we conclude this year's Ed Talks, and we'll see you next season. Thank you, everyone.